let's call it an outsized day. All right, an outsized day. So you've had a day where the intraday action is, it's just put in a great trend and it has created a large outsized bar. Okay, maybe it's a large outsized bar. You're absolutely right. The next day, not always, but can be. I talk about this. Markets are like humans. We surge, we rest, we surge. So we've had a day where there's been a surge. The next day can be a rest day. So that might create, ideally, something like a small inside bar on the daily chart. And then, as you say, the day after that, then basically that trend can extend. Or if it's going to, that sort of on that kind of almost like the third day, the trend re-exerts itself and goes. And that can be a great opportunity for either as a swing trade or if you're like yourself, an intraday trader, to position yourself accordingly to be ready for that to occur and stuff. So it's almost like you get large bar, small inside bar, large bar. It's almost kind of like some might say it's like an ABCD pattern, in micro, but without us being able to draw these here on whiteboards, etc., which maybe we'll get to in the future. I don't want to get too complex, but yeah, people can see that in the chart. Go away and study.
One of the great things, pullbacks once you've had uptrends, pullbacks tend to be always held because the problem is that if they break a pullback, right? So if you go back to we say to a 50% fib, 50 to 618, that zone. So that's a little box. We call that like a little Darvis box as well. That is generally going to be held because people are looking about who's in control. So if they cannot support price in a particular area, then they're not in control. They're not trying to. It doesn't make them as much money as you would think when they start screwing with people's stops. So as if they control the whole trend. So they want to control the whole trend. So these pullbacks tend to be always tend to be held. And one of the other great things, like one of my favorite setups, which you don't see that we do see occasionally, is when you're in an uptrend, on a daily uptrend, and you have the first low of the day put in before 4 o'clock, or the 18 on the 5 minute, and then you have another one that comes down, another low comes down to test it, creating a double bottom. That has really high probability of working because the low is generally 90% of the time the low is in by 4 o'clock or the high is in by 4 o'clock. So they have to support it. So that setup then ends up having this hugely wonderful probability of basically 90%. So it's quite a good thing to see.